Hello, this is After Hours.
I'm Matthew Silk.
James Jaworski.
This is Nelly.
We're going to be talking about the election and politics. Ah! Stuff relating to the election.
Okay.
I don't really think there's any fraud, but people insist that there was because they don't understand how the voting works. They don't understand how the poll booths go through and how the votes are counted. So, I mean, that pretty much ends that. People are just idiots and don't realize. Well, I mean, I think there is voter fraud in every election.
Nick, I was just about to say that. Every election, there's a select amount of voter fraud, no matter what party. Donald Trump sued over 50, I believe, areas that were suggested to have voter fraud. He only won 2 of them. And even at that, it wasn't enough to win the county, let alone the state.
Yeah.
So, he lost. Whether you wanted him or not, you know, Biden or Trump.
Won fair and square.
Yeah, Biden won.
And I think that it was a little ridiculous how much of a baby he was being.
Yeah, he didn't understand that he lost.
Yeah.
You know?
He didn't get that he lost, and I mean, you have to accept that fact.
It was, you know, understandable him wanting to sue and, you know, make sure democracy wasn't being, you know, messed up. But he still lost, and he couldn't understand that for the most part. He just doesn't know what no means, sadly. But now, you know, 100% now it's past the inauguration. Biden is our president.
Yeah, I thought it was a little hypocritical because there was definitely voter fraud in the 2016 election, especially on both sides. Especially whenever it came down to Bernie and Hillary. Bernie got cheated out of that hardcore.
Yeah,
he got cheated out of this election too.
That was like 100%. They found out there was fraud.
They still didn't go into it though.
No.
That just shows how much of a sore loser Trump was. There was voter fraud. Bernie said, "Okay, whatever, I deal with it." He was a sore little loser, and Bernie got cheated out, and he knew that. And Trump knew that he lost fair and square, and he still made a bigger deal. So that just shows that he can't take a loss.
Type of person, him and his elitist fans. Yeah. Pipeline, the whole pipeline ending. I myself, keep in mind, I'm going to go into a blue-collar job like welding. I want to be a union worker for welding, boilermaker. So that might be a bit more biased, but I'm totally against that he got rid of that. There was $920 million lost, 11,000 jobs lost, internationally. Now Canada is mad at America for that. And Canada, you know, they're known for being nice to everyone.
Yeah, they're our ally, and we need to respect that. See, my part on it, I think that, I mean, it was excessive that he got rid of it that fast, especially because it was first day in office. I kind of agree with him getting rid of it for a couple points. The fact that, what?
I got to go home.
Okay. Alright, well...
I will try to return shortly.
Alright, well, the
Mr.
fact...
G, I'm here.
Alright, well, the pipeline, there was protests and riots about it whenever it's being built. A lot of people didn't want to build, and they knew that, but they still did it anyways because it made them money. Because it was going over Native American territories and sacred lands and just areas that shouldn't be built over. Even though it's just a pipeline that goes underground, it still shouldn't be built over that. It's disrespectful. And we get a little trigger happy whenever it comes to building stuff on land that isn't ours, considering our whole country is built off of that.
Anything that has to do with oil or anything like that, oil products, America goes a bit crazy for it. Now, I myself, I don't think they should have gotten rid of the pipeline. If they did not start it to begin with, it would have been no problem, but they put it into the works, they were going to do it, and then they stopped it abruptly, which caused more harm
than good, because they already had a lot of it built in, so they just did more damage ripping it back out.
They just lost a lot of money for the unions and for multiple countries. Now it's international because of Canada and America. It was an agreement, and To my knowledge, could be wrong about this, Canada did not even have a say in it.
No, they probably didn't,
no.
because most of it's on the U.S.
Yeah.
side.
America just kind of thought, this is our thing. You have no word in it, which was, I'm against that. And
Yeah, it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially on the first day of presidency, because he already had a lot of hate, because, I mean, Trump supporters were very worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's just a bad way to start off, because it was a mistake that shouldn't have been done yet. It should have been slowly done, or reduced in a way, but I don't know, I think it was good and bad in some ways.
There's positives and negatives. Paris Agreement. I myself, even being more right-wing than my beliefs, I'm a right-wing libertarian. I'm not Republican. I'm a right-wing libertarian. Even me, I thought getting rid of the Paris Agreement whenever Trump was in office was a bad idea, because something we really need to take care of is our environment. A lot of people think the Paris Agreement, for some reason, one of the biggest senators, one of the most well-known, Ted Cruz, for some reason thought it was connected to Paris, whenever all it was signed in Paris. It's not affecting Paris at all. It's just where it was signed. They think
they're idiots.
Yeah. They think that it's benefiting Paris and not the world, the community. Whenever
our world's so polluted and so filled with garbage. Yeah. We do one little thing to help out, and it gets so much backlash for no reason.
All the Paris Agreement is an agreement to reduce the CO2 emissions from things like power plants or tank refineries, stuff like that.
And it's going to make our environment cleaner, and it's going to save them money.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, overall, it's going to be better for our environment and better for the companies.
Yeah, it's going to be a big chunk of money taken out of the company at a time, but once you do that, you're already following every single regulation. You're no longer going to
pay any more fines.
Yeah, no more fines, no more penalties for not following the regulations. It's a big chunk taken out, and it's going to, in the long run, benefit not only these big private companies who only care about money, but also the environment. It's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I'm very glad we got back into. The Capitol riots.
Ridiculous.
I thought they were crazy. I understand protests, peaceful protests. If you wanted to go there,
like a good example, the first Black Lives Matter protests, whenever George Floyd died, before there were the riots and the buildings being burned down, which I don't totally disagree with, because you have to get your point across somehow. But getting your point across is different than committing an act of domestic terrorism.
Yeah, that was legitimate terrorism. Whatever your beliefs are, that was terrorism. They went in there chanting to kill and hang politicians.
Nancy Pelosi, Mike Pence.
They went in there with malicious intent. It was not... At first, it was a protest I agreed with. If you really did not agree with the election results and you believe they were false, okay.
That's what protests are for.
It's great.
If you aren't happy with what the government said, you protest, go and get a sign and go march outside and prove your point. Don't go raid the Capitol building trying to kill the people that are superiors.
And that's a huge thing. A lot of people don't realize that has not happened since 1814 and the War of 1812, when the Canadians burned down the White House and then had a Capitol coup. That has literally not happened since 1814 in an actual war.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And like I was saying, even with Black Lives Matter, protests, they're very necessary for democracy to strive.
Exactly.
But there's a difference from riots and protests.
And even a riot is different than just straight up terrorism, which those people committed. Running out there, running out of the Capitol with like the booths and stuff that people, like the podiums. That isn't something you mess with.
It really, even if you don't want to call it terrorism, whatever you want to call it, it still makes America look like a joke.
Oh, 100%.
Its own people will have a coup on the Capitol, which has not happened since, like I just said, a whole battle in 1812.
I don't know, and they had inside blueprints and stuff, and our president, encouraged it. So I think that there was inside plans on it, 100%. I think that he was attempting to It's just a theory, but I think he might have been attempting to make it a dictatorship.
Yeah.
He's trying to eliminate everyone else. That's why he wanted rid of the VP and Nancy Pelosi.
I myself don't believe that. I think it's just a bunch of people angry about the protests. I think it was an inside job. I mean,
There's no way it couldn't have been because they had blueprints and
it
stuff.
had to be an inside job, but I don't think it was Trump really trying to make a dictatorship. But at the same time, he was at this point where he wanted to keep his fans, so he couldn't say, get out of here, you're an idiot, because Trump's stubborn.
There's a difference between fans and people who are committing wrong acts. And as our president, like I said earlier, whenever we were walking, he's something we got to look up to. And he's got to know that he's that role. He can't act like he's a toddler in the playground doing whatever he wants. He gets his toy taken, he goes and beats up the other kid.
Yeah.
He's got to respect that this is our lives and our planet, and we got to work for that.
The way he said to stop the riots, it was horrible. He said to stop, but he called them special and basically took pride in them while trying to tell them to stop. It was mixed emotions. Whenever he should have just been hard and stubborn about it.
He should have been like, you need to stop this right now. It is not right for our country. See, I think that's why the main part of why they impeached him. Because that apology was so insincere in every single way. What else do you want to talk about?
I'll cut this part, but that's another thing. You want to talk about the second impeachment? Whether we agree with you?
Second impeachment? I think the second impeachment was ridiculous, but I mean, I understand why, because there's a lot of those people saying that they wanted him impeached again, so he couldn't run in the next election, which I agree with, because I know darn well he will. He will try and run. Well, yeah, so I know he's going to run again, but I think the impeachment, he was like 6 days away from the inauguration, so I think that it was worthless. Because that costs money, costs time, all that.
That's basically what I believe. I think, if he had 6 months to a year left, great, impeach him if you really thought that was impeachable, which it was.
It 100% was impeachable. So, he committed an act of terrorism, in my views.
So you shouldn't impeach him there, but they could not actually start the impeachment hearings until January 19th. At that point, he only has one more day in office. There's no point at all to impeach him. Obviously, yes, if you're impeached twice, you can't really, run again. But let's be honest. Do you think someone's going to vote him back in after he was basically pushing an act of terrorism?
No.
Other than the elite fans that I've said before, no one else is going to want him.
We could talk about that. What do you think? What do you think about COVID and the schools, the way the schools are taking it?
I mean, I've had COVID back in November, so I understand how it affected me. Obviously, it affects people differently. But I've realized I was going to school unknowingly having COVID for I don't know how long. Well, no one got it from me. No one who we knew got it from me.
Yeah, I was with him 4 days before you were diagnosed with it. I didn't have it. I was with someone who was in close contact with someone else who had it multiple times, and I didn't get it either of those times. So I think that really COVID just matters upon the circumstance.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm anti-masker, but to a point, masks and social distancing do not affect anything whatsoever.
I would rather social distance and wear masks because masks can, I mean, realistically, whenever you breathe in air, obviously it's oxygen, you breathe out CO2. In a mask, you're breathing in way too much CO2 because you're breathing in and breathing out, and that CO2 is lingering in your mask and you're inhaling it. It's not good for your health.
It causes a certain type of lung disease if you work for too long. It happens more for medics.
Because they have them on for 12-hour shifts at a time. I mean, we only wear them for a couple hours at school, and we can take them off whenever we need.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I just think that I wish Joe Biden, like, a couple days ago, he said that he doesn't have any plan for COVID anymore, which he did. And that was one of the main reasons why I kind of supported him, because he actually had a plan instead of Trump. But now he doesn't have a plan, obviously. So I'm just glad we finally have a vaccine that kind of works and hasn't really killed anyone yet.
Yeah.
But You just have to wait. Alright, well that was After Hours. Hope you enjoyed, Mr. G.
See you next time.